Thunder cracked across the valley as Elara's spell shattered, light scattering like broken glass across the midnight sky. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from the echo of Rowan's fading voice. "Do not follow me," he had said, vanishing into the storm. The rain burned her skin like truth long denied. Every drop whispered fate's warning, yet her chest ached with rebellion. She clenched her trembling hands, feeling magic pulse like a heartbeat beneath her skin. "If love is my curse," Elara whispered, "then let it destroy me." The wind howled back, carrying faint laughter. Not Rowan's, but something colder, ancient, watching. Shadows rippled through the forest as the air thickened with power. The earth trembled, and her tears turned to sparks. Somewhere beyond the hills, fate stirred. Elara took one step into the darkness, her cloak snapping in the wind. She didn't know what waited, only that her heart no longer obeyed the stars. Morning light struggled through mist as Elara reached the old stone altar. Her spellbook lay ruined, pages soaked and torn. "It was never meant to end this way," she murmured. Mara's voice echoed in memory, warning her of the cost of love and magic entwined. The air smelled of ash and regret. Each breath carried the taste of burnt promises. Elara traced a broken rune, feeling its lifeless hum. For a moment she thought she heard Rowan's heartbeat in the wind. "If fate wants my heart, it will have to fight for it." Her words vanished into fog, unanswered. Somewhere, a crow screamed. The sound made her shiver. Behind her, faint footprints appeared in the mud, not hers. She turned, pulse quickening, magic trembling beneath her skin. The forest, silent moments before, now seemed to breathe. Mara's reflection shimmered in the shallow pool. "You meddle with fate, child," her voice whispered from nowhere and everywhere. Elara's chest tightened. "Then fate should stop meddling with me." Ripples distorted the reflection, revealing ancient symbols glowing beneath the water. The prophecy returned, a heart bound by desire, a soul bound by doom. Elara leaned closer, trembling as light reached her fingertips. The water hissed, whispering names she had tried to forget. Rowan, Lucy, and hers. The current quickened, glowing stronger until she pulled back, gasped. The prophecy's voice faded, leaving only silence and her own reflection, pale, afraid, defiant. "So it begins again," she said softly, as the water turned black. Rowan's sword trembled in his grip as he watched the flames rise from afar. "I swore to protect her," he said, his voice roughened by guilt. Finn looked up from the campfire. "Then why are you running?" Rowan's jaw tightened. "Because love makes me weak." The wind snapped branches overhead. He glanced toward the glowing horizon. Every instinct screamed to go back. Yet duty chained his feet. He drew a deep breath. "I'll face fate on my own terms." But even as he said it, his chest ached with the echo of Elara's name. The storm had ended, but inside him, the war had just begun. Night returned with the scent of smoke and thunder. Elara stood before the mirror of stone, heart racing. "Show me what I am," she whispered. Magic flared. Her reflection fractured into countless selves, each burning with a different emotion. Fear, anger, longing. The cave pulsed like a living heart. Sparks spiraled upward, painting the air with blue fire. From the shadows, a voice murmured, "Be careful what you awaken." Elara turned. Lucine stood there, calm, amused. "You," she breathed, rage and fear colliding. "Still chasing what's forbidden?" he asked. The mirror trembled, light spilling between them like blood. Elara raised her hand, but the power answered before she could think. Branches snapped under Elara's boots as she ran through the forest, breath ragged, heart pounding like a drumbeat of fear. The storm had passed, but its echo clung to her skin. Behind her, something moved, fast, heavy, determined. "Rowan," she shouted, but the only reply was the rush of wind through dying leaves. The forest glowed faintly, unnatural light seeping between trees. She ducked beneath a fallen trunk as sparks flew past her shoulder. "You shouldn't come back," a cold voice hissed from the mist. "Lucian." Her pulse spiked. "I never left," she whispered, summoning her magic. The earth trembled. Blue light surged from her palm, scattering shadows. For a heartbeat she saw his silhouette, calm, smiling, cruel. Then silence. She turned slowly, realizing she'd been led here. Every path around her formed a circle. Fate's trap had closed. Dawn bled gold across the mountains when Elara found the ruins. Her hands trembled as she built a small fire, its warmth barely touching the chill inside her. Rowan appeared through the fog. Cloaked, torn eyes, fierce yet soft. "You're alive," he said quietly. She looked away. "You left me to die." The words cut sharper than magic. He crouched beside her, voice rough. "If I hadn't, Lucian would have killed us both." The fire crackled between them, reflecting secrets in their eyes. For the first time she noticed the scar along his jaw, the exhaustion beneath his strength. "You don't get to decide my fate," she whispered. He smiled sadly. "Maybe not, but I'll still fight it for you." A single ember drifted skyward, like a promise neither dared to keep. Lucian's laughter echoed through the empty hall, smooth as silk, sharp as glass. "She runs because she's afraid of herself," he murmured. His reflection danced in the black mirror before him. Behind him, a dozen candles flickered, though no wind stirred. "You should have killed her," a whisper answered. "Unseen, female, ancient." Lucian smiled, eyes glinting. "And ruin my favorite game?" He waved a hand, and the mirror shifted, showing Elara and Rowan huddled near their fire. His fingers traced her face through the glass. "She still wears the mark," he said softly. The voice hissed, "The prophecy binds them both." Lucian leaned closer, whispering to his own reflection. "Then let love finish what destiny began." The candles went out, all at once. The air shimmered with faint gold as Mara appeared beside the fire. Elara's eyes widened. "You're supposed to be gone." Mara smiled gently. "Even the dead find ways to warn the living." Her voice was soft but firm, echoing like memory. Rowan stepped forward. "Tell us how to stop him." The old woman's gaze turned distant. "You can't stop fate, only bend it if your heart survives the breaking." Elara swallowed hard. "He's after the mark." Mara nodded. "It's not his to take, it's yours to understand." The flames rose higher, shifting into shapes, two hearts burning apart. "Every spell has a cost," Mara whispered. "Love will demand payment soon." The fire dimmed, leaving only her echo. "Choose wisely, child, for desire blinds even the wise." Rain began again, soft and steady. Elara stood at the forest's edge, eyes fixed on the horizon. "She said the mark is mine to understand," she whispered. Rowan watched her, jaw tense. "Then we find what it means, before he does." The wind howled, scattering embers across the wet ground. She turned to him, eyes fierce. "No more running," he hesitated. "You're not ready." "Neither was I when I fell in love with you," she replied. Her magic pulsed, glowing brighter beneath her skin. Thunder rolled, echoing like fate's drum. She raised her hand toward the dark valley below. "Lucian wants to play God. Then let him face a witch who knows her own heart," the storm answered with lightning. For the first time in days, the rain stopped. The forest breathed again, soft and almost kind. Elara felt her heart beat slow as she followed the river's calm glow. A small cabin appeared, smoke curling gently from its chimney. "Finally," Rowan said, exhaling. Inside waited warmth, and a woman with silver eyes who smiled too easily. "Travelers," she greeted, voice smooth as silk. Elara hesitated. Something about the rhythm of her words felt rehearsed. The woman placed 2 cups on the table. "You'll need strength for what's coming." Steam rose between them, curling like whispers. Rowan relaxed, shoulders softening. Elara did not. The walls were lined with runes she didn't recognize. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. The woman's smile flickered. "A friend," she said, but her hands shook when she poured the tea. Night deepened, and the fire hummed softly. Elara rested near Rowan, her eyes tracing the flames dance. "We could stay here," he said quietly. "Start over." She laughed faintly. "You don't believe that." He smiled. "Maybe I want to." The silver-eyed woman watched from the shadows, fingers tracing a rune carved into the floor. Elara felt warmth, comfort, then a twinge of dread. Rowan reached for her hand. "When this ends, I'll still be here." His touch lingered, strong but uncertain. "Promise?" she whispered. "Always," he replied, but his gaze shifted toward the door as if expecting someone. Outside, branches swayed though no wind stirred. The fire crackled louder. A spark jumped, landing on her sleeve, burning just enough to sting. Elara woke before dawn. The cabin was silent. She rose, drawn to a mirror hanging crooked on the wall. Her reflection shimmered, then changed. Lucien's face stared back, calm, smiling. "Still running," he whispered. She gasped. "You can't be here." His voice echoed inside her head. "I'm wherever you keep your secrets." The mirror flickered, showing Rowan sleeping beside the stranger, her hand resting on his arm. "No," Elara breathed. Lucien's reflection laughed softly. "You think love protects you? It binds you tighter than any curse." She slammed her fist into the mirror. It didn't break. The reflection leaned closer, eyes glowing. "Hell betray you by dawn." His image faded, leaving her own trembling reflection. Eyes wide, heart cracking in silence. The world held its breath. Elara stepped into the main room, light from the dying fire painting everything in red. Rowan turned, startled. "You're awake, so are you?" she said, voice sharp. The silver-eyed woman stood behind him, hand raised, a blade of light in her grip. "Don't," Elara warned. Rowan moved too slow. The blade struck not her, but the table between them, exploding into light. Magic flared. "She's one of them!" Elara shouted. The woman screamed, eyes turning black. Rowan froze, torn between both sides. "Rowan," Elara called. He hesitated. One heartbeat too long. The woman's spell hit Elara square in the chest, throwing her against the wall. The last thing she saw was Rowan's expression. Horror, mixed with something worse. Guilt. Smoke curled through the ruins of the cabin. Elara awoke to silence, her chest aching, the mark on her skin burning brighter than before. Rowan knelt nearby, hands trembling. "I tried to stop her," he said, voice breaking. She stared at him, tears mixed with ash. "You brought her to us." He said nothing. The truth hung heavier than smoke. She rose unsteadily. "Lucien was right," she whispered. "Fate doesn't choose, people do." The mark pulsed again, a rhythm of anger and revelation. Rowan reached for her, but she stepped back. "Don't." The world outside was gray, the first snow falling. Elara looked toward the distant forest. "If love is war," she said softly, "then I finally know which side I'm on." Snow muffled every sound. The forest lay still, wrapped in silence too heavy to breathe. Elara walked alone among the ashes, her fingers brushing soot from her cloak. Each step cracked the thin frost beneath her boots. The smell of burnt wood clung to her hair, mixing with the iron taste of regret. "Why did I trust him?" she whispered, the words vanishing into cold air. The mark on her chest pulsed again, slower now, almost gentle. She pressed her palm against it, feeling warmth where none should be. Behind the smoke's haze, faint lights glimmered like lost souls. "You knew, didn't you?" she murmured to the night. No answer came, only the echo of her own heartbeat. Then she saw it, a single rune glowing beneath the snow, the same symbol from Lucien's mirror. Her breath caught. It's been here all along. The light from the rune pulled her backward through time. The air thickened, scent of rain and ink filling her lungs. She was in Mara's study again. Candles flickering, parchment whispering secrets. "This mark is ancient," Mara said long ago. "It binds love to consequence." Elara had laughed then, naive. Love needs no chains. Now, memory overlapped with present. The paper burned, and the same rune branded her skin. She saw Lucien standing beside Mara, both younger, their faces filled with guilt. "You promised," Mara cried. "We were saving her." Lucien's reply was calm. "We were binding her." The sound of a heartbeat echoed between timelines. Elara gasped as past and present merged. The truth struck like lightning. Her magic had never been hers. It was theirs. Elara returned to the clearing where Mara's spirit had once appeared. The air shimmered again, faint gold threads forming her mentor's shape. "You knew," Elara said softly. Mara's eyes were sorrow itself. "I tried to warn you." Silence trembled between them. Snowflakes drifted through the ghost's outline. "Was I ever free?" Mara looked away. "Freedom isn't given. It's taken." The words carried both blessing and curse. Elara's throat tightened. "Then why did you mark me?" The spirit's gaze lifted, glowing brighter. "Because the world needed a heart strong enough to break." The wind stilled. For a moment, Elara felt everything: love, anger, purpose. The truth wasn't chains anymore. It was choice. Lucien waited at the river of ice, cloak rippling like smoke. "You've finally seen," he said. Elara approached, the mark blazing beneath her skin. "You used me," he smiled, gentle and cruel. "No, I completed you," she glared. "You bound my heart to yours," he nodded. "And now you feel everything I do: fear, power, loss." The river cracked beneath them, glowing from within. "I loved you once," she whispered. "Then you should thank me. I made it eternal." His voice was almost tender. "There's no villain here, Elara. Only balance." The word hung like frost. Her magic flickered, neither light nor dark. "If balance means pain," she said quietly, "then I'll break it." His smile faded, just slightly. The first crack in certainty. The first crack in certainty. Dawn spilled over the horizon, soft and golden. Elara stood alone at the river's edge, breath fogging in the chill. The mark on her chest faded from flame to ember. "So this was the truth all along," she whispered. Her voice trembled, not from fear but release. The pain was still there, but lighter now, almost kind. She closed her eyes, feeling magic flow freely for the first time. Not bound, not borrowed, just hers. The wind stirred, whispering her name like forgiveness. She knelt, touching the frozen water. "You taught me betrayal," she said softly, "but also freedom." The sun broke through clouds, spilling light across the ice. She rose slowly, eyes burning with calm fire. "Now I know who I am." And with that, she walked toward the valley, ready to face destiny. Wind howled across the valley like a warning. The air trembled. Too still, too expectant. Elara stood on the cliff's edge, cloak torn, eyes locked on the storm boiling below. Lightning flickered across the frozen river, each flash revealing Lucien's figure in the distance. Her breath fogged, slow and deliberate. Every muscle tensed. Rowan's voice broke the silence. "You don't have to do this alone." She didn't turn. "I was never meant to do anything else." The ground vibrated, the mark on her chest pulsing in rhythm with thunder. The storm held its breath. "When I move," she whispered, "run." He gripped his sword tighter. Not this time. A single drop of rain hit her cheek, the signal. The world exhaled. The first strike was soundless. A wave of blue energy burst from Elara's hands, meeting Lucien's dark flame midair. The explosion cracked the ice below. "Still chasing freedom?" he called out. "Still mistaking control for love," she shouted back. Their magic collided again, light and shadow twisting into chaos. He stepped closer, boots leaving prints that smoked. "Without me, you are nothing," she laughed, breathless. "Then watch me prove you wrong." The wind roared, trees bowing to their fury. Sparks rained from the sky, each one burning where it landed. Rowan charged from the flank, blade drawn, joining the storm. The sound of impact was deafening. Heartbeats and thunder became one. Lucien's blade of shadow slashed through the air, straight toward Elara. Rowan leapt between them, his sword catching the strike. The clash split the ground. "Move!" he shouted, but she was frozen, horror in her eyes. Lucien's second strike came faster, too fast. Rowan staggered back, crimson spreading across his cloak. "Rowan!" Elara screamed, catching him before he fell. His hand found hers, trembling. "You said love was war," he murmured, voice fading. "So win it for me." Her tears mixed with snow on his face. The world blurred around her. Lucien's expression softened for only a heartbeat. Regret flickered, then vanished. Silence followed, heavier than thunder. Elara's cry shattered it. Elara rose slowly, tears burning like molten glass. "You wanted balance," she whispered. "Then feel what you made." Her magic erupted, a storm of light spiraling around her, fire meeting ice. Lucien raised his hand, voice steady. "You'll destroy everything." Maybe that's the point. Their power collided again, brighter than dawn. Each blow felt like memory. Every betrayal, every promise turned weapon. The ice cracked, rivers glowing beneath. Lucien stepped closer, shouting over the roar. "You can't kill what's part of you." "Then I'll burn both halves," she screamed. The valley exploded with light. Shadows twisted, then broke apart. The scream faded. Only her heartbeat remained, loud, defiant, alive. Morning crept over the valley, pale and fragile. The storm was gone. Snow lay quiet, untouched except where fire had kissed it. Elara stood alone beside the melted ice, her reflection wavering in shallow water. Her cloak was torn, her face streaked with soot and light. "It's over," she whispered. Rowan's sword lay beside her, its blade cracked. She knelt, touching it gently. "You kept your promise." The air was still, no echo answered. The air was still, no echo answered. The mark on her chest dimmed, fading like memory. She breathed deeply, letting the silence fill her. The first rays of sunlight reached her eyes. Warm, forgiving. "Freedom," she said softly, "hurts less in the light." She walked away, and behind her, the river began to thaw. Smoke drifted lazily above the shattered valley, curling like ghosts that refused to leave. The wind had lost its voice. Elara stood where the river once froze, water now whispering again. Her fingers brushed the cracked ice, still warm beneath the surface. Every muscle ached. Every breath carried the weight of what remained. Silence stretched endlessly. The scent of burned earth lingered, sharp and human. "It's quiet," she murmured, as if expecting an answer. None came, only her reflection stared back. A stranger with weary eyes and trembling hands. She closed them, listening to the faint sound of water finding its way home. "So this is what peace costs," she whispered. The world felt empty, yet alive again. She walked through the valley slowly, each footprint filling with water. Memories clung to her like frost. Rowan's laugh echoed faintly, fading before she could catch it. "You were right," she said to the air. "Love and war end the same way." In silence, the thought hurt, but it didn't break her. The wind carried scents of pine and ash. Every breeze felt like a ghost's breath. She knelt, picking up a fragment of his sword. Cold metal bit her palm. "You never feared dying," she whispered. "You feared leaving me behind." Snowflakes melted against her cheeks, mingling with tears she didn't notice. She looked toward the horizon, realizing the truth. The world had ended, and yet it continued. A breeze stirred. Then, faintly, a voice. "You kept fighting," it said. Elara turned, and there he was. Rowan, half light, half memory, standing beside the thawed river. His smile was the same. Steady, kind, almost real. "You're not gone," she breathed. "Not where it matters," he replied. The sound wrapped around her like warmth. She reached out but felt only air. "I wasn't strong enough," she whispered. He shook his head. "You were stronger than all of us." The moment stretched. Time slowed, sound dissolved. He glanced toward the rising sun. "Live, Elara. Don't look back." The wind scattered his image into glimmering dust. She stood motionless, hand raised, whispering, "Thank you." Later that day, she returned to Mara's old sanctuary. The air was still scented with herbs and age. Dust floated in beams of pale sunlight. She traced the carvings on the walls, lessons once ignored. "You said freedom is taken, not given," she murmured. "I think I finally understand." A soft echo answered, Mara's voice not haunting but gentle. "Then you are ready." Elara smiled faintly. "I thought I'd lost everything." The voice lingered like a heartbeat. "Loss teaches what comfort never could." Her eyes glistened. She wiped a tear, laughing through it. "You always spoke in riddles." Silence replied, peaceful and complete. For the first time, silence didn't hurt. By evening, the valley shimmered beneath melting snow. Elara stood at the edge of the world she'd once feared. The wind carried new scents: earth, rain, promise. She breathed deeply, steady, calm. "No more curses," she said softly. "No more chains." Her fingers glowed faintly as she released the final rune into the air. It dissolved like a sigh. She closed her eyes, whispering, "Goodbye, my love." The magic faded, leaving only sunlight. Her reflection in the water looked peaceful. Older, wiser, free. She turned toward the distant hills, steps light, cloak fluttering like wings. The sky burned with gold and rose. The witch walked on, no longer bound by fate, but by choice. The valley slept beneath pale morning light. The storm's scars shimmered faintly, as if the earth itself remembered pain. Elara walked among the stones, her shadow long and fragile. The world no longer roared. It breathed. Her boots pressed into damp soil that once burned with fire. She stopped, looking at the horizon where the river met the sun. "Is this peace?" she whispered. The wind brushed her cheek, gentle, unanswering. She thought of Rowan, of Mara, of everything that had led her here. The silence pressed on her chest like a heartbeat too loud. Was it worth it? She asked softly, unsure if she wanted to know. The world didn't answer, but it didn't hurt anymore. She gathered the remnants of her past. The book, the broken rune, a single feather caught in her cloak. Each object pulsed faintly before fading. "Let go," she murmured. One by one, she placed them on a flat stone and lit a spark of blue fire. The flames rose quietly, consuming her history. Her eyes glimmered in the reflection. "No chains, no ghosts," she said. The words felt lighter than breath. When the last ember faded, she turned away from the smoke and began walking. Her steps echoed softly against wet stone, each one less heavy than the last. Behind her, the ashes lifted with the wind, a memory dissolving into sky. Later, she found a folded note sealed beneath Rowan's sword hilt. The parchment was worn, the ink faint. She opened it with shaking fingers. His voice echoed in memory. "If you read this, it means you survived." She smiled through tears. "You always were stubborn." The letter continued. "Love isn't a chain. It's a mirror. When you see yourself in it, you've already won." Her heart ached, but it was a sweet ache now, one she chose to keep. She held the letter to her chest, whispering, "I see it now." The breeze caught the parchment, lifting it gently toward the sun. She let it go, watching it drift until it disappeared. Time passed quietly. Flowers bloomed where fire once raged. The villagers returned, rebuilding with steady hands. Children's laughter echoed faintly through the hills. From the ridge, Elara watched them, cloak catching light like a second sunrise. She didn't go down, not yet. The world no longer needed her magic. It needed her absence to heal. She whispered, "Thank you," though she wasn't sure to whom. Perhaps to fate, perhaps to love itself. Her gaze softened. Life was beginning again, rhythm restored. The sound of hammer against stone became her lullaby. The witch smiled, small but certain. The cycle had broken and begun anew. At twilight, Elara returned to the river one last time. The sky burned violet and gold. She traced her fingers across the water, whispering the spell that began it all. Only now, it ended with a smile. "Fate can bind hearts," she said softly, "but love sets them free." The reflection shimmered, showing every version of her: witch, lover, survivor. She let her hand fall, breaking the image. Ripples spread outward, endless. The wind carried her final words. "May no one ever fear their own heart again." Then silence. The light dimmed slowly until only the sound of the river remained, flowing forward, unbound.